What's happening? Andy here today. I am joined with Dennis Amorsano. Dennis is with Dendog Strategy in the Long Island area, I believe. How are you today, Dennis?
I'm doing fine, Andy. How are you? It's good to be with you.
Good to be with you too. Good to see you. It's been a little while. Dennis is known by a lot of people in this industry. He was a corporate guy, traded in his corporate hat, and decided to join the super lucrative world of consulting. So your company is called dendogstrategy.com. Well, your website is .com, but your Dendog Strategy. Why don't you give us a little overview? What have you been doing in your next phase here?
Yeah, so as you may know, obviously, I spent quite a long time at Canon, 25 years, in fact, and shortly after my 25th year anniversary, made the decision that I really wanted to do something on my own, and kind of started this new consulting venture. And so the company is Dendog Strategy Insights. We really look at ourselves as a management consulting firm. And, when I put the company together, really the thought process was, how do I take, the specific, things that I had done over the course of my career at Canon, and really drive them from a consulting perspective, in an effort to help, businesses in a number of key areas. So, as you're kind of scrolling through some of my website here, you can see that, I'm focused on a number of key service areas, one being strategic planning, new business development, and marketing automation. And really, my experience at Canon is, as you know well, over the 25 years I was there, was really primarily focused around building net new businesses. So, if you're going to build net new businesses, you've got to do a few things, and you've got to do a few things well. You've got to plan well. You really have to understand how to develop new businesses, and then you've got to market those things in order to gain, market awareness, and of course, gain purchasing activity in the marketplace. So, I thought, the years of experience I had, and of course that experience being diversified, not only on the hardware side of the office equipment business, but being, associated with software and professional services delivery, kind of gave me a nice, well-rounded set of experiences that I could bring to customers in the marketplace. So we started the company, back in, July of last year. In fact, July 4th is the official, company incorporation date, Independence Day, you might call it. Yeah. We really started formally driving activities with the company in October of last year. So it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it, and we're really just now starting to look for ways we can more actively market the services we bring, and looking to bring on net new clients, and help them, particularly now, frankly, get through what are clearly some of the most challenging business times that I think any of us have seen in recent history. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, and like I said, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I do miss corporate America. Clearly I miss that, no question. I miss working with, great and wonderful people at Canon. But this has been equally, a good experience for me, and a great learning experience, frankly. So it's been really nice.
Well, I can tell you, when it works, it's great, and when it doesn't, it's not so great. But I think you'll be just fine with your background, and love the name, love the logo. Actually, you've seen my den dog, who's suddenly an office dog, popping in and out of here. He did pop the door open on my office just to say hi to my viewers. Real quick, trivia question for you.
Sure.
1983, who started today for the Mets for his first time?
1983. I would have to say maybe Keith Hernandez.
Oh, it was Darryl.
Oh, was it Darryl Strawberry?
I saw a tweet today. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to this, but I saw a tweet that said, on this day in 1983, Darryl put on the orange and blue for the first time. So there's your Mets trivia for the biggest Mets fan I know, probably.
Yeah, well, Darryl Strawberry, of course, won the Rookie of the Year that year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, And if I do recall correctly, Keith Hernandez actually, I think it was '83. He first played for the Mets after being traded from the St. Louis Cardinals. But actually, I can tell you, I miss baseball. That is the one thing
Yeah,
with
I miss
what's going on.
sports. I just miss them all. It is.
It's really unbelievable what's been going on, and I do miss sports as well. I long for the day when things return to normal, so we can get back to living, as they say.
I agree. But good segue here. So let's talk about what's going on out there. What's happening, I should say. You've got the unique experience of being on both sides of this now. Whether we look back on your time at Canon, as you mentioned, you've been through some incredibly difficult and challenging situations, times when you were there in an executive role as well. 9/11 for one, the recession that followed,
Sure.
very difficult. And again, this is, uncharted territory. It's hard to draw comparisons and conclusions, but we're seeing some things that are similar. A lot of dealers, a lot of great Canon dealers, and
Sure.
these dealers represent many brands. So, what do you think's going on? What do you think's happening with these dealers? What do they need from their OEMs, like a Canon, like a Konica, or Ricoh, any of them?
Yeah.
What does your instinct tell you?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I don't think we've seen anything, to this level. I mean, when we look at 9/11 and we look at the 2008 financial crisis, I mean, clearly these were major challenges for all businesses, both at the OEM level as well at the dealer level. But I think the impact economically in those two cases, while it was severe, it wasn't nearly as catastrophic as this, and it wasn't as quick. Right. I mean, when you look at what's going on here economically over the course of the last 6 to 8 weeks, it's just been almost a total economic collapse with the exception of a few industries. So, that's very hard for any business to adjust to. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about what's going on with page volume and things like that. But businesses in general, they can manage through recessions and they can manage through economic downturns and things. I mean, you plan for those kinds of things. So, but when you get hit with these kind of catastrophic, challenges, and they happen so rapidly, most businesses, frankly speaking, are not equipped, and most strategic business plans are not built, trying to figure out how to overcome these kinds of crises. So, the fact is then that if you look at the OEMs and you look at the dealers, I think they're all really struggling, frankly, and it's sad to see what's happening to the industry, but I think they're all really struggling with this. And but that being said, in even the worst of times, you can look at these things as an opportunity to kind of refocus your efforts from a business standpoint. And I know, in my case, in the years I ran various businesses at Canon, when we dealt with these kind of crises, obviously we tried to take actions that would be supportive of our continued sale and service of the technology we placed and supportive of our channels. But at the same time, we also looked at opportunities in these types of situations to improve our internal operations, improve our workflow, because we of course we knew that kind of an investment would ultimately pay back year after year after year. So it would be something that even though it might cost us money in the short term, if we had the capital, it was worth spending because we knew we'd get a great long-term return. And then the other things we did, frankly, we looked at kind of refocusing ourselves from a strategic planning standpoint. So some of the the best actions we would take coming out of these kinds of scenarios would be in and around new business development or new business modeling ideas and so forth. So, one of the things I would advocate to any dealers and certainly any of the OEMs right now is, if you're not really using this as an opportunity to kind of dig deep into your strategic plan and think about, what you want to look like coming out of this scenario, it might be a good time to do that. And of course, my own experience, is really focused around those things, right? Driving and building strategic plans and helping start and then scale net new businesses. And frankly, for the office technology industry, I think that they could use a lot of both of those things, frankly, just given the nature of the industry, even before this crisis. So, So those are the kinds of things that I would advocate that businesses do, whether, again, they happen to be at the OEM level or whether they be at the dealer level. And, I think to the extent that they do that and then stay focused on executing those plans and trying to enter new business fields, they're going to have a much better opportunity to be successful long term. Not to mention the fact they'll be more focused even on their core business and trying to recover in that area as the economy starts to plow forward again here over the course of the next couple months.
So, well, let's take this to the next step. So coming out of this,
Yep.
we'll probably lose some dealers. We'll probably have a lot of companies like you, to your point, have reinvented themselves. What does the dealer community look like coming out of this? Where do you think it's going to go? What do you think these guys are going to focus on? Are they just going to go after certain verticals now as a way to maybe protect themselves? Are they going to scale up, scale down? Are they going to work remotely? Like, what do you think our world looks like?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of different permutations here, depending upon the dealer and depending upon where they think they have, capabilities and skills. But I mean, the reality is that the dealer channel, even more so than the OEMs, has kind of been transitioning over the course of the last few years. So when you look at dealers today, a large number of dealers today have businesses that are much more diverse than just the traditional hardware office technology business, right? They've layered software capabilities and services into their model. Many of them have managed network service delivery capabilities. A very small number are offering workflow-oriented services and helping customers modify and build net new business models. But suffice to say, I think you're going to find that a lot of dealers who are in those areas are going to continue to look to expand those businesses, because I think what we know today about most dealers is that while many of them have entered that space, those areas still represent a fairly small percentage of their overall business, both from a revenue and a profit perspective. And frankly, for their long-term health, that aspect of their business needs to represent a much bigger piece of their overall revenue and profit pie, and no question. I think the other thing we're going to see coming out of this is that for dealers who aren't in those areas, this is the perfect opportunity to try to figure out how to get there. If in fact those dealers have a long-term desire to remain viable in the marketplace. Now, granted, some, frankly speaking, are going to want to just ride things out and wind their business down over time. But for those who really want to live long-term, I think they're going to have to enter that space. And this is as good a time as any to figure out how to do that. And then in terms of the channel itself, I mean, we've obviously seen, and you know this extremely well, a huge amount of consolidation at the channel level over the course of the last several years, and inclusive of the entry of venture capital and so forth, as a means of kind of, driving this consolidation in the channel. So a channel that at one time, was representative of about 7,000 or more businesses, I think today is probably under 2,000 dealers,
Oh,
right?
it is.
That trend is going to continue. I don't think there's any question about that. So, the question is going to be, how much of a play here does the venture capital, continue to have in terms of that consolidation as compared to dealers buying dealers and the like. But I think that landscape is going to continue to shrink. The question for me is always, well, what's going to happen at the OEM level? Because we really haven't seen a significant amount of consolidation. But again, when we look at the economics of the market, the market itself, the pie is shrinking, right? So you'd have to anticipate at some point that we're going to see some level of consolidation at the manufacturer level. Although, frankly speaking, I think it's been long in coming, but the market's going to force that to happen. It's just a question of timing. So I think we'll see a lot of the same trends that we've seen over the past few years, and eventually, those things are going to make their way to the OEM level as well. Just as they have at the dealer level, at least in my view.
I definitely agree with a lot of that. The The one thing that you said though is these dealers that thought they were going to ride this out and gradually go off, and now's the time for them to invest. I don't know that they have the time to invest. I think those guys were funding themselves with this cash cow that was going to go on forever, and then all of a sudden 2 months ago it stopped, and they don't have money, and it's too late. And the OEMs have been warning these guys for years. You need to diversify. You need to come up with other product lines. I have a feeling you're going to see a wave of print-heavy, print-focused dealers that are going to start getting swallowed up. As soon as things start lightening up, as soon as people get back in their offices, I think you're going to see a wave of acquisitions that makes what was going on before this look like nothing.
Yeah, no, I think Andy, that analysis is right on the money. I mean, granted, you're going to find that in some of these dealers who haven't made any of these kind of transitions to new business areas and so forth, those who don't have the capital, I think, are in big trouble, right? And those who can't get access to the capital are in big trouble. So these are the guys who are going to be basically eventually selling their businesses at much lower valuations than they had.
Yeah, it's sad because if they had just done it 6 months ago, people are going to. The negotiations are going to get ugly because people are not going to be getting the value for what their business was just 2-3 months ago.
No question about that. But again, this kind of gets to the issue of page volume, right? And so it's amazing to me what's going on. And I've written about this a little bit in some of the blogs and articles that I've written recently. But when I was at Canon and when I was running Canon's MFP business, one of the things, and you'll know this from our own conversations, but one of the things I was always concerned about was, is there anything, I would always ask you and other analysts, is there anything on the horizon that we can see that would cause page volumes, for example, to fall off the cliff? That was my biggest concern, because I never felt that whether at Canon or any OEM for that matter, that any of us could react fast enough to deal with a situation where page volume just like disappeared, for example. And at the time, even though we had gone through 9/11, we had gone through the 2008 financial crisis, I don't think any of us really looked at anything on the near horizon that we could say, geez, this is a watershed event that could really destroy the economics of the industry overnight. I certainly didn't think in terms of pandemic, but that being said, I know in my own case, and I'm sure other OEMs, we were looking at ways in which we could build business models that weren't dependent on clicks. Because what we knew is that clicks were declining anyway, so we had to come up with a business model that wasn't reliant upon clicks long term if we wanted to stay viable. So, and honestly, I haven't seen a lot of the OEMs introduce those kind of models, and I haven't seen a lot of the dealers introduce those kind of models either. Some have, but very few. And so, as a result, this crisis is killing in the entire industry based upon what's going on with page volume. And so if nothing else changes coming out of this, I hope for the sake of the industry that the dealer channel and OEMs in particular will recognize that the sooner they can decouple their business model from clicks, the better. The better for them, the better for the employees, the better for the industry. Because I think, frankly speaking, I don't think the clicks are coming back. I know there's probably some debate on this going on in the industry, but given the number of people now who are going to work home on a permanent basis and the dislocation we see in employment in general, I think it's going to change the landscape of printing more so than anything we had ever seen, at least in my 25 plus years in the industry. And I just don't see page volumes returning to the pre-pandemic levels that they were at. And even as you know, the pre-pandemic levels weren't great because they were on the steady decline. Now, of course, steady declines can be managed, right? And for those of us in the industry, I mean, we took solace in the fact that, okay, yeah, the pages are declining, but okay, it's steady. We can deal with it.
Still there. It wasn't typewriters, it wasn't right. Where it was here one day and just gone the next.
Yeah. Well, to put it in other terms from a Canon perspective, it wasn't like the compact camera market. that basically what was a third of its size in the course of 2 years based upon what happened with cell phones, right? So we didn't see that happening. Well, exactly, we didn't see that happening in terms of print. But I think and again, it's unfortunate, but the lifeblood of the industry for years and years has been page volume. And I just think this crisis is going to change those dynamics. Again, my own analysis would tell me that pages are not going to come back anywhere near the levels they were at. Which again, if OEMs and dealers don't change their business models, I think they're going to be in for a long haul in trying to recover from this. So I would advocate to any dealers and OEMs, figure out how to change your business model, not only for net new customers, but for existing customers as well. The sooner you can decouple from pages being the lifeblood of your revenue and profit, the better. And again, I think the dealers, frankly, are in a better position to do this than the OEMs in many respects, because particularly those who have invested in software and services, because they already have subscription-based models that they're offering to their clients that they should be able to fold printing right into. I think for the OEMs, frankly, it's going to be a little bit harder, but we'll see. We'll see what happens over the course of the next 6 to 12 months if the OEMs start to really make significant shifts in business model. Now, by the way,
Yeah.
if the OEMs do, in my mind, it's going to change the dynamic of the relationship between the OEMs and the dealer channel. Now, I think the OEMs in many respects, particularly at the lower ends of their product portfolios, are going to reach a point economically where they're going to need to rely less on a channel of distribution to reach the end market and rely more on themselves to get to the end customer directly. So it should be interesting to see what happens in the industry over the course, again, in the next 6, 12, 18 months as a result of all this.
It will be fun to watch, and I couldn't agree more. I do think that some of the OEMs, and we won't start pointing fingers, but I think some of them got on that diversification train a long time ago, and,
Sure.
and they have been telling their dealers for years and setting them up with managed services and setting them up with document management, and the dealers that got into these and learned them early on, are making money at them now. I mean, finally, and some of them are hard. IT is not easy, but that cliff that you're talking about, it's the only thing I can equate this to, like, we've had interruptions, we've had disruptions before, we've had recessions, and these are all challenges, but this is like a hurricane that has lasted for 7 weeks, right? Like, nobody's working. I shouldn't say nobody's working, but their work is disrupted. You're working at home. You're not in your office. You're not banging on doors if you're a copier rep. You're not making deliveries if you're doing other things. Everybody's business has changed. Everybody's working remote. So the print is gone, and some of it is going to come back, but a lot of it, to your point, isn't. So these companies that were ahead of the curve, diversifying and looking for other products and services to sell, they are. And when I'm doing these interviews, you can tell the ones who are really positioned well for just surviving this, but also going forward, coming out of this and being seen as a leader. And, they helped us go remote. They helped our people be secure. They were, there's a lot of loyalty being built right now for dealers. So thank you so much for taking the time. I'll give you one last shout out. Anyone you want to say anything to, or any last message you'd like to drop?
Yeah, again, I mean, obviously I wish everyone well. I hope, for everyone who's watching that, they and their families remain safe and healthy, and God willing, we'll all come through this. I hope my predictions aren't accurate in this case, frankly. I mean, I really hope that page volumes return to pre-pandemic levels. But that being said, I mean, maybe more importantly, for the industry itself, I really hope that the players in the industry, find ways to continue to innovate and enter new market areas, because that would be ideal for the space. And there's so many wonderful people in the industry, and I'd love to see that as the outcome here. And for me personally, of course, to the extent I can help folks do that, I'm more than happy to do so, and certainly would love to leverage my experience and helping folks look at ways in which they can drive more effective strategic plans and build and market new businesses. So, we'll see how things turn out as we come out of this. But again, my best wishes to everyone for continued good health and as importantly, for good business success on a long-term basis.
Well, that's a great way to wind down. For all of you who want to check out Dennis's website, I will post it in the writing that will either be above or below or somewhere along the video that you're watching here. And Dennis, thanks so much for taking the time out of your schedule. And we'll do another one of these down the road. We'll hopefully be a little further out of the pandemic, and we'll start talking about maybe some of the things that you guys are doing as the activity begins to pick up.
No, that's great. I'd look forward to it. Great catching up again, Andy. All the best.
You too. Take care, Dennis.
Take care now. Be well.
You too. Bye-bye.